got to worship Him. I really do, because if you stay in His presence, so many things are clear to you. Well, many would say that there are two different versions of America fighting for our vote in the upcoming election of 2024, and that everything our nation has built are considered valuable over the last 200 plus years could be at stake. Here to break down the policies that matter and share the hope available for our country going forward, let's welcome Dr. Richard Rogers and Ashley Hayek. Come on in. Come on in.
Hello. Good to see y'all. Good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Good to be here.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right. Well, everybody's talking about what's going on in the world today, and of course, I know both of you, just like us and our audience, are concerned about what we're seeing going on in America, and we want it to be better. And you two really are up to date on what's going on with the two parties. Now, I know we have Michelle Bachmann, she calls in and talks, and of course Fred Markin, our dear friend, will talk about global strategy and et cetera, et cetera. But Richard, I guess we met you just a couple of weeks ago there in Washington, D.C.
Right.
Of course, you're dear friends. I guess your pastor is Pastor Jensen Franklin.
Yes, I serve on his executive team.
Yeah, which I've known Jensen and Sharice for over 30 years.
Right.
So worked with him. Of course, he's got a program right here on Daystar. And Ashley also got the privilege to meet you. And you both are involved in kind of unveiling and sharing the truth as to what's going on in America right now. And Richard, how important is, let's just start off, how important is it for everyone to use their voice and vote?
It's huge. Like you said in your opening, over 20 million Christians did not vote in 2020.
Are we sure about that number?
It's been researched. I've had to document it for news organizations I've talked to and everything. And so it's a valid number. Some have it actually much higher than that. And so I think there was a lot of things happening in 2020 that aren't happening today. One thing is that I think we made it all about the candidate and less about the values in 2020. And now, 4 years later, America's seen what happens in 3.5 years under a different administration. And in 2024, they're not talking about candidates and parties in the church. They're talking about the values. That are, like you said, two different versions of America that are on the ballot. Which version do you want your children and your grandchildren to grow up in? That's what they're talking about.
Ashley, I see a picture of your family. We have to put that up and show everybody because we are family television for sure. And you have all these children. How in the world? I didn't even know this.
Yeah, I have 5 kids, 13 to 2. And this is the most consequential election of our lifetime. I truly believe that. And so everything that I'm working on is really for them and for our grandchildren and down the line, because everything is on the line right now. Dr. Rich said that so many Christians, 20 million Christians didn't vote. When you look at the numbers, we lost the election by margins in the last election cycle. Inches. Wisconsin, 74,000, evangelicals, supportive and persuadable, so people who lean conservative, 34,120 did not vote in Arizona. We lost that state by 10,000 votes. So if those folks would have shown up, used their voices, and you go down the line, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Wisconsin, you see the same numbers. And when you have things like parental rights, our freedom, our religious liberty on the line, there's no excuse to not use our voice.
Yeah, that's kind of my argument, is that which candidate's going to give the gospel the best opportunity? Which candidate's not going to censor us? Which candidate's going to let us go door to door? Tell us what you're doing, and I'll come back to you, Richard, how you are activating and trying to activate local communities to make that 10,000 vote difference.
So our number one priority right now is door-to-door canvassing.
And what's the name of your organization?
We're America First Works.
Put it up there on the screen, okay.
And so it's all about going door to door and chasing ballots and having real conversations with people. So our target is about 2.4 million Americans that we are reaching out to in target states to make sure that they are voting, and voting early is so important.
How can senior citizens, because we got so many of those people, and people who want to get involved, how can they connect with you to go door to door where they are?
Yeah, so you can either go to the website americafirstworks.com.
You're saying it too fast.
americafirstworks.com. Sign up or text VOTE to 85152, and we can customize, if you need help with a voting plan, if you can work your senior citizens home, work with and make sure that the people within your home are voting. If you want to do postcards to people in battleground states, if you're in a state like Texas or California. all sorts of opportunities.
So I just want to go through some of these real quickly, and let's talk about these. Of course, we talk about a lot of these on Daystar all the time anyway, but I'm going to start at the bottom and go up. So which party is going to be pro-parental rights and anti-woke curriculum? Of course, we've had John Amachuku on with us. He goes to the school boards, talks about the books that are in the library, et cetera, et cetera. And just the parental rights that are being taken away from parents. Which party is going to be pro-parental rights?
Well, I'll give you two examples. Number one, this administration's Department of Justice called parents domestic terrorists. So what does that tell you? This is not an administration or a party that's going to support parental rights. And number two, the vice presidential candidate, Tim Walz, allowed tampons in the bathroom of little boys throughout the state of Minnesota. So I cannot think of anything more disgusting than those types of policies, and that's what you're seeing from the left.
And this is where our VP presidential candidate is from.
Yeah, he's
Minnesota.
Minnesota. And you can just look at Minnesota. I know Michelle Bachmann just had 2 pages of stuff that he's done, which is crazy. Who is going to support transgender ideology, puberty blockers, and surgeries on minors? And even some states that if the child wants a surgery and the parent disagrees, some states now have the law to intercept the child and take out of the custody of parents and give them the surgery without the parents' permission. That's really true, right?
And that's Kamala Harris from California and Tim Walz from Minnesota. Same. I mean, that is what they embody. Those are their values.
And as a mom, how does that concern you?
Oh,
We got millions of moms watching right now.
absolutely. I mean, it is absolutely horrific. And right now, you have to fight to protect your kids. That's really what this election cycle is all about. Dr. Rich also has 4 daughters. And so we talk about this a lot, is protecting our rights as parents and just protecting children. They want to literally castrate and prevent children from being able to have children in the future when they're 12, 10 years old.
And yet import 20 million other children. Right.
Yeah. Well, and
Crazy ideologies.
And lose a large number.
Well, that's another whole issue is what that we'll talk about in the border, but protecting girls' sports, you just mentioned. All of us watched in horror as men who were born men have competed in girls' sports and taken the awards away from girls that have worked their whole life for
When you're a dad of 4 daughters, if you saw your daughter really train and try to do something successful against other girls, and another girl beat her, you'd be fine. But some guy comes in and punches her, or hits her with a volleyball, knocks her unconscious. I don't know, something as a dad just comes up and goes, "Ain't right."
Absolutely.
Ain't right.
Absolutely.
Okay,
and
so
right now, the only option is to not compete or compete and come in second or third or whatever else.
So which party is going to protect girls' sports?
That's the Republican Party. We've seen also in this administration the attack on Title IX. You know, when I was growing up, we were told women can do it all. You can shatter glass ceilings. You can have equal opportunity, and they've taken that completely away. And they're actually taking away funding from school districts that refuse to allow boys and girls sports.
The other thing a lot of people are concerned about, and we just saw a movie this weekend, in fact, that talked about this, but secure elections. Maybe Ashley and Richard both speak to that. A lot of people are concerned, like, why should I even vote? Because we know there's cheating that went on in the last election, and that's been proven. Even though people want to argue that, there's no doubt there was a lot of stuff that went on. Is that true, Ashley?
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And what we have to do in response is make it too big to rig. We've got to swamp the vote and make sure. This is why the evangelical vote and the Christian vote is so critical this election cycle, is because we know they're going to play games. There is a reason why the Democrats are not wanting to pass the SAVE Act, which would prevent illegal aliens from voting in our elections. So 3 things. You would need to sign up to be a poll watcher or a poll worker.
How do they do that?
And you can.
You're assuming they know how to do everything. How do I'm not bright, even though they call me doctor. How do I sign up to be a poll watcher?
You can go to protectthevote.com and you can sign up there to sign to be a poll watcher. And that's another thing. If you see something, you need to speak out about it. And then we need to make sure our voice is heard so that we can beat that margin where there's even a question in anyone's mind.
Now, this is something America First has been very proactive in, is signing up poll watchers. Did we have that the last election? Were there a lot of vote centers that were not being watched?
Yeah, there was a deficiency in the number of people that were signing up. A couple things too. I was just in Clark County, Nevada on Friday. I met with the county GOP chairman, and he said that he has doubled the number of volunteers this time than he did last time, which is huge.
And you don't need an education to do this. You just simply sit there and stand around and make sure things are doing the things right. You don't see big black bags coming in with blank ballots, and you just make sure things are doing the American.
Or ballots that are being thrown away.
Yep.
Or ballots that are coming in at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning by strange people. I mean, we know all that stuff happened. What do you say about that, Richard?
Well, I say that's one of the places that I've seen the church respond. So when I go to churches and when I go to these camps, these camp meetings, and all these things, we sign people up to register to vote. We sign churches up to register to vote, but they're also saying we want to help.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've registered well over 2,000 people just at the conferences I've been to that want to vote, that they want to be a part of this process.
And a men's ministry can sign up their men, and the women's ministry can sign up their women. If they go to what's his website?
America First Works.
American First Works. Okay, that's for the poll stuff. And they can actually, let's do this as a men's
They can
ministry.
volunteer at all.
As a men's ministry, let's just all go down to the county and make sure that everything's good, right? And that would be a great day for the church to show up.
And we provide training and all that.
And you still go to churches. We can still get you to go to a church.
Absolutely. I
You talk to pastors.
I
How do they
leave
get in
here today.
contact with you? Because I can't do it.
Right. R. Rogers at AmericaFirstPolicy.com. R. Rogers at AmericaFirstPolicy.com. I leave here today. I fly to Michigan, where I'm meeting with a large group of Dominican pastors tomorrow in Michigan. I'm in about 4 or 5 states a week. The demand for our help to help them do this is amazing.
You know, tomorrow we're going to have Mario Murillo on with us, and you know he's got a very strong word for America. I mean, he said the Lord really spoke to him strongly. He's not one to speak out and say that, but he said that we will be held accountable for what we do and what we don't do as Christians this election like no other. And of course, Ashley, our audience is pro-life. We understand that at conception, an eternal soul is created, okay, that's going to live forever. And so it's important for us to understand that we protect that life. And so which party has what view, because I mean there's a lot of misinformation out there, which party is going to be pro-life?
That's the Republican Party. And one thing that is just going to be so clear, we saw it yesterday in Las Vegas when Kamala Harris was there. The Democrat, the radical left, is running on 2 issues. 1, bad MAGA. 2, pro-choice or women's health under the guise of women's health. But women's health to the left is an abortion in the 7th, 8th, 9th month of pregnancy, taxpayer funded, when a baby can feel pain.
You're saying again, you talk so fast, you remind me of someone from New York.
You talk
like
fast
me.
too, Doug.
You talk fast like I do. So I just slow down.
Sure.
Okay, because some moms and dads don't really believe there are states that are killing babies at 7 months, 8 months, or even after they're born. They just don't believe it. This is actually true, though.
It's true. It's abortion tourism. There is an abortion facility in Washington, D.C. that attracts people to come so you can have a late-term abortion, same as New Mexico as well.
Well, I've done a lot of shows on this, and so when I heard the debate and saw her laughing at the fact that there were such things as late-term abortions, when I interviewed the lady that ran the largest abortion clinic here in Dallas years ago, Carol Everett, and she talked to me about late-term abortions that took place in that clinic and other horrific things that took place as well. And what people don't understand is that for the woman, because again, I interview the women 10, 15, 20 years later, and the guilt and condemnation that the enemy brings against them, and how many go into depression and thoughts of suicide. You don't hear about the mental health that is affected by women that have abortions. All you hear is they have the right to their body, et cetera, et cetera. Well, yes, they have the right to their body, but they don't have the right to destroy another body.
And just so we're clear, we love you. If you've had an abortion, you can call the number on your screen. There's a product called Healing After Abortion that I created for women who've been through this to get them free from the guilt and shame. Jesus Christ paid for that, okay? And no matter what has gone on in your life, Jesus Christ has paid for that. And the most important thing that you can do is to ask Jesus into your life. Yeah, vote, that's great. But if you vote and you don't know Jesus, you can have a bad life. Jesus wants to give you everything. And it's not hard to come home to Jesus. Just say a prayer like this, say, Jesus, forgive me of my sin. I want to come home right now. I make you Lord. Fill me with your Spirit. In Jesus' name, something like that. And He will save you. And now you're better than a citizen of America. You're a citizen of the kingdom of God. But you're going to need a couple things. The first thing is the Gospel of John, so you can understand your newfound faith. And we're going to give that to you with a QR code, and that you can understand that. Dr. Gene Getz explains that in a little booklet called Now What. This is the most important decision. And of course, we want you to vote as we're talking about today.
Well, you were talking pretty fast too, so I just want to say. Okay, so yeah, that is the most important decision that you could make here today is receiving Jesus. And yes, we love every person. Those of you that had abortion, we don't judge you for that. That's the enemy that judges you. He's come to steal, kill, and destroy. Jesus said, I've come to give you life and life more abundantly. And He wants to give you that peace, knowing that, guess what? You will see that baby again, okay? Those babies, you can't kill a baby. You talk about that in your series. You can't kill an eternal soul. An eternal soul is an eternal soul is an eternal soul. It's just that baby got taken out of time and was not able to fulfill its purpose on the earth. And we don't want that to continue to happen. Okay, so what about, well, let's just talk about this. It's important to us, Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Who really stands with Israel? Both of you maybe
Good question.
comment on that. We'll start with you, Richard.
Absolutely. I mean, Jensen was part of some of the pastors that would go and meet with the president to pray with him between 2016 and 2019. And one of his proudest moments was he got to say, it was 2018 or 2019, in a room full of very important people. The president was there, vice president was there, some others. And he was the last one to speak. And he got to say, you met with us in 2016 and made some promises to us about Israel, like every presidential candidate, same promises that they'd all made in years past about Israel, about abortion, about the Supreme Court. And he said, I just want to stand on behalf of millions of Christians everywhere and say thank you for keeping every promise you made to us.
Well, and then that was when Israel got moved to Jerusalem. That was, we just met. They gave Joni the award. You heard about that. But I was there when President Trump's ambassador to Israel was sitting there, and he was talking about how important that was to the nation of Israel and, and to the world.
Yeah.
That we took it back to Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Which is a big statement. I'm not sure whether.
And you have an administration, the Harris-Biden administration, that unfroze millions of dollars to Iran.
Millions.
And it's disgusting because now there are so many innocent lives that have been lost, and he has empowered terrorist organizations against the world.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really an important point. And of course, we know as Christians
that immigration, we even talk about that.
Well, that America needs to stand with Israel. That's so very important. You all help us do that every day. Yeah, what about the borders? Let's talk about that. Ashley?
I just want to go back to one more thing. I remember 20 years ago in the 80s when Ronald Reagan was president, and people were so proud to be an American, and they would lift the American flag, especially when there was the conflict with Iran. And now we're watching, the pro-Hamas terrorists in our own country, in our capital, tearing our flags down, putting them on fire. If that is not an extreme shift in our culture, I don't know what is. And if we don't use our voice at this time, we're no longer going to see the American flag waving in our classrooms and capitals. But the border is another issue. I mean, it is completely unsecure. There's human trafficking, drug cartels.
And when you say human trafficking, again, moms don't necessarily put that together. Like little 4-year-olds, 14-year-olds are getting across the border and they're being used as prostitutes in America. Okay? And so that's what's happening.
And they recycle the children. So they use the children to get across the border. 1 in 3 are sexually abused. And then they take those children and they send them back so that they can use those same children to get back across the border. It's so disgusting what they have done. And then in addition to that, there's a fentanyl crisis. So the number one cause of death amongst young people now is fentanyl. And it's because this administration has allowed the drug cartels to run our borders.
Talk about some of we just had Robert Kennedy Jr. on with us, and he has so many lawsuits. It's so interesting because when he was an independent candidate and got on the ballot in all these states, the Democratic Party sued him for trying to get him off the ballot. But when he came alongside to stand with Trump, and of course has a lot of the same policy beliefs, I mean, concerning making America healthy again. They're now suing him so they can't take his name off the ballot. What in the world is going on? Is this crazy or what?
It's par for the course with the left. You know, they've tried to sue to get President Trump off the ballot in states like Colorado. They don't want that. They will do whatever they can to make sure that Donald J. Trump never returns to the White House. And if that means going after RFK or going after him, anything that's preventing him, they will throw an obstacle in the way as much as possible.
So the rogue prosecutors and the rampant crime.
Yeah, especially from California, and they're feeling it there like no place else. No bail. That's been a big part of it. They actually passed a law. The citizens didn't actually know what they were voting for when they voted for this. That basically you can steal up to like a certain dollar amount and avoid prosecution, and it just is out of
It's
control.
rampant.
Yeah, and then just this last week, someone that the DA in Los Angeles had set free from murder charges prior went out and murdered somebody again just over this weekend. And so they're feeling it there. There's a shift in the way people, even in Los Angeles and Orange County, are feeling about voting this. I'm seeing this all across the nation. People that wouldn't necessarily vote conservative, they're shopping at the same stores we're shopping at. They're buying gas. Gas is over $5, $6 a gallon in California.
Wow.
They're all experiencing the same America we're experiencing.
And we want to feel safe. You know, when you have a party that's about lawlessness and you have a party that's for law and order, you know, you feel safe when dad is in the house and he has a gun, okay, and he knows he's going to protect you versus being in a situation where you don't know whether other people have a gun, but you're not allowed to have a gun, and they can come in and take whatever they want. You know, you just feel safer when there's law and order. And I think people, no matter what their cultural background, they want to feel safe. They want to be able to provide for their kids and feed them well, let them go to school, and they want to have the American dream that is so real.
Yeah.
That's why they come here. You know, they're not running from America to go to Mexico for the Mexican dream, or going to Ireland for the Ireland dream.
Right.
They're coming here for the American dream, and we need to protect that.
So, you know, Ashley, I know you've heard this a million times. I've heard it a million times. How important is it that we vote for policy and not get hung up on personality? Because people say, well, I just don't like what he says, or I don't like, you know. Talk a little bit about the man that you know. Of course, I've had the opportunity, you know, being on the Faith Council to be, you know, around President Trump as well. And of course, Paula White's a dear friend as well. But talk a little bit about what you know personally.
Well, it's interesting because the media will never show you who he really is. And the love for our military, the love for our communities, for people, and getting to see behind the scenes how he's just truly a caring, genuine person, it's very touching. But the media will never let you, the establishment media will never let you see that side of him. You look at the past 3.5 years where the same establishment media told us that Kamala Harris was the worst vice president ever. She was a joke, it was ridiculous, she had no policies, and literally overnight, it was just, they propped her up, put her on a pedestal, and have covered up for everything. She's campaigning right now on vibes and joy. But vibes don't pay my bill, joy will not fill up my gas tank, and it won't keep tampons out of my little boy's bathroom. So we have to make sure we're voting on the policies because our life was better 4 years ago than it is today.
What would you say, Richard?
The same exact thing. That when I'm talking to pastors that would not talk about politics at all in 2020, they have been reaching out. I can't even hardly keep up with it. And they said, we don't want to talk about politics. So we created these documents. I know you guys have these documents. Yes.
Okay.
They're called palm cards. And that we have the file that they have there. But literally this helps them talk. These are the issues that are on the ballot. These are the values that are on the ballot. Pastors will stand up and preach about the values that are at stake. They'll talk about the two different versions of America without having to talk about politics. It's on your screen there.
But I can get these if I'm a pastor. I can go to this website, When America First Works, and I can get these for free.
Absolutely. We will make them. We'll send you the file if you want to do your own, but we have these by the thousands.
Okay.
We also have this document right here called, it's the Biblical Foundations. Paula was a part of this. Jensen was a part of this. And it helps.
It's good. I read through that.
Talk about the issues that are on the ballot from the biblical perspective. We can't keep these in stock. The church is so hungry for how do I do this. Pastors are so hungry this time around for how can we get in the game without losing half our congregation talking about
Can
politics.
they download that?
This right here, yes,
Yes, on
absolutely.
AmericaFirstPolicy.com.
So you can
AmericaFirstPolicy.com.
download Biblical Foundations. You can go to the website.
America
America
First
First
Works.
Policy.
No, America
No,
First.
AmericaFirstPolicy.com.
Oh,
That's correct,
yeah.
yes.
And if you do that, AmericaFirstPolicy.com, you can download this, give it to your pastor, so that he can be intelligent about talking about the issues.
And that's
100%
great.
nonpartisan. 100% nonpartisan.
It's not partisan. It's just we got to get. And I was talking to a world Christian leader upstairs after show. He's like, I don't know about this personality. I'm like, are you what? He's like, I'm not. I don't think I'm going to vote. I almost came out of my chair.
Yeah.
I said, what? People died for you to have that privilege.
Yeah.
I don't care what you think about anybody. You vote. And then also, this candidate's going to give us a window for the gospel. You're preaching the gospel. This one's not so excited about Jesus being Lord. This is a world order, maybe possible person. We don't even know who got her voted in, right? So we got this problem. And he's like, oh my gosh, I never looked at it like, who's going to help us promote the gospel?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, we just showed Eric Metaxas documentary Letter to the American Church on Saturday here on Daystar. So many of you loved that, and it's like, can we see it again? Can we see it again? But you know, he talks about what happened in Germany and how there are similarities to what we're seeing in America now. So that's why, Ashley, we can't give up on America. I believe there's still more for us to do, and I know that we have sent more missionaries around the world than any other country. I know Daystar is going around the world preaching the gospel, and that is our first mandate. But if we don't make some changes, a lot of that could change, couldn't it?
That's exactly right. We are a country that is founded on Judeo-Christian values, and people forget that. And when you have Marxism move into our culture, that's what this is. That's what you're seeing.
Absolutely.
They want to eliminate religion altogether, and that's not what our country is based upon. And you're seeing a rise in crime and fatherlessness and a lot of cultural issues today because there is no God, there is no religion, and we have to bring that back.
That's good.
But this is the responsibility of the church. I want to bring it back home to me.
Yeah.
I'm responsible to vote. And if I've got legs, I can be a poll watcher. I can go to your website. You know, if I've got eyes, I can be a poll watcher. If I've got hands, I can go do door to door. You know, and you can do the voting, and after voting, do evangelism. It'll get you good practice for that. Okay, but it's me. It's not some people out there somewhere who's going to do something. It's me. Not just to vote, but to get
Or
involved.
you could help that elderly neighbor, you know,
Yeah.
if they're not registered. And again,
Absolutely.
you don't go and tell people how to vote or what to vote, but you give them that opportunity to make that decision based on the facts. And that's what we're doing today. And some say, well, Joni, you know, you're getting political, you shouldn't have. You know what? This is so important. This election is so important. I just don't care if you're mad at me, because there are some things that there are hills that I'm ready to die on, and this is one of them. Some of the issues that we're talking about the sanctity of life. We're talking about defending religious liberty, ensuring border security, supporting Israel, promoting safe communities, and preserving our children and keeping these crazy surgeries from taking place from kids who are like 10, 11, 12 years old who now have actually grown up to be 19 or 20 are coming back and saying, why did you let me do this? It's crazy. And so, yes, I will stand for truth on all of those hills. And it's really important that you do so as well.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Because of the parental notification laws didn't allow me to know.
But I want you to hear the heart of Joni. She's a grandmother. Yesterday we had our grandkids swimming in the pool. We're fighting for them, you know, and we had the other grandkids, so Noah and Asher and Judah and I just forgot Noah, Judah, Asher. Oh, Bo, and then little Ellie. Okay, and we have other grandchildren. We have to fight for them. This is our time to fight, and we're at war. They're at war with us. They are at war with us. And we have to get in the battle and fight. So you heard Joni's grandmother heart come out.
Yeah.
Don't you dare send her a message about that.
Yeah.
Okay? Because she loves her grandchildren. If she's guilty of loving, you can say she's guilty of loving. We're guilty of loving the next generation. And that's really what the heart of that was, that statement.
Well,
Just want you to know where you're
and we're
coming
all guilty of loving our kids and wanting something good for them, for the future. I know you think about that with your kids. Ashley, you think about that, Richard, with your daughters. But Richard, will you just take a moment, look in the camera, encourage people to get involved? There's some people are like, wow, I didn't realize this or that or the other. I didn't really know that they stood for that and that. And so you're going to be ignited today to get involved. But if you would just encourage people to get out and vote.
Listen, this is the election of our lifetime, maybe the most consequential election in history, and certainly for the church. And parties on both sides of the aisle have said that the most consequential group that there is that needs to be talked to, that they can make the biggest difference in this election, are Christians, are people of faith. The Democrats have said that, the Republicans have said that. They're aware of what we can do when we do it together. But we need to come out from our homes and vote. Men, you need to vote this time. You need the gun owners. You need to vote. That's two groups that believe just like we do, but didn't go to the ballot box in 2020. We need to vote. We can make a difference. We are the salt and the light. You're the salt and the light. And so stand up, volunteer, register to vote, turn out and vote, and we can literally change the course of a nation.
All right, Ashley, take a minute and talk to the moms.
All right. Well, this is for our children. This is for our grandchildren and for our future. There is nothing more important than protecting those most vulnerable amongst us. So please get involved. AmericaFirstWorks.com. Slow enough.
Go for it.
That's good.
You can knock on doors, send text messages, write postcards, drive people to the polls, but we need all hands on deck in order for us to save our country. That's so important to us.
And it's okay for them to use their Facebook. It's okay for them to use their Instagram.
Use
It's okay
Nextdoor.
I mean, they're using it.
All of it.
Right? Use all of it. Whatever you're on, go for it. You know, celebrate where you are. And you don't have to tell people how to vote, but just tell them to get out and get involved. And you know you feel good when you get involved.
But do talk about some of these issues and where each party stands.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's very important.
And the Biblical Foundations thing.
Yeah, you can get that.
Download that. Get that to your pastor. You got the little book. Where's that little book?
And those are all
give me a
80% issues. 80% of Americans agree with those policies and how they're framed.
80% of people agree with this. Get it to your pastor now. And, you know, you be that person that says, Pastor, can you look at this? You know, he might be working right now, not watching TV. So you get it for him and download it for him, print it off, and get this. And you can go to AmericanPolicy.com. And the reason we're doing this is because we love you. And
America First Policy.
AmericanFirstPolicy.com. Is we really love you, and we're here to meet your needs. So if you have a relationship issue, financial issue, a health issue, you see the number on your screen, 1-800-329-0029. That's for us to minister to you right now where you are. You know, you might be not thinking about big things. You might have small things like food and relationships or prodigal or just pain in your body that you want help from. And so many people, guys, they literally call from all over the nations while we were talking. So I'm just going to reach out and we're going to pray for these. Lord Jesus, we just thank you so much for every person that's reached out and said, I need Jesus. I need help, God, for this situation, the health issues that are on these papers, the financial issues that are on these papers, the tears that are on these papers, the cries that are on these papers. You've heard them from Africa, from Europe, from Asia, from all over America, and you are on it, Father. We thank you for your creativity, your wisdom, and the way you will meet these needs in real time. We do this all in the name of Jesus by faith in our risen Lord. Amen. Well, we love you so very much, and we want you to share this program and let people know about it. We love you, and we will see you again tomorrow.